Penguin Random House Audio presents Courage is Contagious and Other Reasons to Be Grateful for Michelle Obama. Edited by Nick Haramis. Read by Lena Dunham, Nick Haramis, Alice Waters, Janet Mock, Issa Rae, Charlamagne the God, Gloria Steinem, Patton Oswalt, Rashida Jones, John Meacham, Gabourey Sidibe, and a full cast.
Foreword by Lena Dunham. Dear listener, it seemed like a no-brainer when, in the fall of 2016, T, the New York Times style magazine, published a series of essays in appreciation of Michelle Obama. Saying goodbye to her was not just a duty, but a celebration, albeit a bittersweet one, leaning more on the bitter than the sweet when we understood what was to come. Brilliant, kind, and irksomely stylish, she is beloved by anyone you would ever want to share a meal or a taxi with. Her influence on America, the way she injected the White House with a sense of class, ease, and definitive purpose, and not, refreshingly, any distracting controversy, was obvious. But what was revealed in the writings of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, Rashida Jones, John Meacham, and Gloria Steinem was that Mrs. Obama had not simply gifted us with 8 great years alongside her husband. She had also fully and completely rejiggered our notion of what a First Lady could and should be. In the words of Adescendis de la Cruz, a very special 9th grader featured in this book, I only care what certain people say, among them Michelle Obama. But despite this mastery over both our moral and fangirl selves, Michelle Obama was not born from whole cloth. She fought beside her husband as he made his way to the White House, against racist attacks, against the mainstreaming of their identities, and against her own reservations about being a political wife. But, forged in the fire, she emerged the most resilient and beloved First Lady we have yet to know. She remodeled the job and gave us a new sense of resolve. Modern First Ladies have been held to near impossible standards of behavior, almost Victorian in the rigors of expectation. Their husbands become their mirrors, their albatrosses, and their legacies. Historically, style has been frowned upon, even if Lady Bird Johnson and Jackie Kennedy managed to slide some in, as were personal revelations, one of the reasons Betty Ford is so quietly remarkable. These women tried so hard to dress in ways that would invite neither approval nor scorn that they disappeared into a sea of beige organza. In effect, they were rendered human tea sets. Their intellect and opinions were used in service of their husbands' goals, and in cases of non-compliance, see Hillary Clinton, Eleanor Roosevelt, the gavel was swift, merciless, and luxist. It ain't a job for the faint of heart, even if you do get to hang a painting of yourself in the White House. Michelle Obama ignored many of these reductive constraints by being brazenly herself, by leaning even harder into what makes her so unique. She started out, of course, as a symbol, which Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie suggests when she writes, all over America, Black women were still, their eyes watching a form of God, because she represented their image writ large in the world. And yet she became so much more than simply the page of an illuminated manuscript. Using her Let Girls Learn initiative, Mrs. Obama made sure this country's young female population saw her, a lot of her, on the national stage or on Sesame Street, and insisted that they had worth beyond what they meant to their fathers, brothers, and boyfriends. She became a champion for American fashion designers, making clothing easy and effortless and, perish the thought, fun. She invited self-expression into what had once been, and is alas again, the whitest place on earth. She mom danced with Jimmy Fallon, she hugged children who saw what was coming in their political future, and she left us with this measured but potent call to arms. When they go low, we go high. I've had the good fortune to meet Mrs. Obama several times. The first words out of my mouth were, I'm sorry to say, "You're the most amazing person on earth, like way better than my mom even." I followed up that gem with, "I think I have that dress. Is it Band of Outsiders?" She thanked me for the way I modeled my womanhood for her girls, even if my show was a little risque for the Obamas themselves, a brag I'll never get sick of bragging. She hugged me as if she wasn't forced into the arms of strangers hundreds of times a day. She told me I had something important to say. Even as a 30-year-old ensconced in my career, I needed to hear that. Every woman does. The second time we met was at a panel for Let Girls Learn. If you think you're going to say anything worthwhile on a panel with Michelle Obama, then you are a delusional sociopath. So I simply soaked in what she had to offer about women, education, and the lack of opportunity that ferments when one is denied the other. On stage, she told the audience that she often has to avoid popping off on Twitter, angry as she is at the state of the world. Barack stops me. How do I avoid it? I asked. You can do whatever you want. Again, I needed to hear those words. When my Lenny co-founder Jenni Konner and I were presented with the opportunity to make Courage is Contagious a book in our imprint, we jumped at the idea. This is the book I dreamed would be in my holiday stocking as a teen. It's the book that Jenni wants her daughter and her daughter's friends to return to again and again. It's the meditation we need in the hard times to come, a genuine and multifaceted appreciation of a genuinely multifaceted woman. We hope that by contemplating what Michelle gave us, some of her strength, her moral fortitude, and her powerful ability to override bullshit might rub off on us, even just a little. With love, Lena.
Introduction, Nick Haramis. 20 minutes, they said. The summer of 2016 was coming to an end, and the Obamas were entering the home stretch of their second term in the White House. I'd asked Michelle Obama, through her communications director, to carve out 5 hours in her schedule to sit for the portrait that would eventually appear on the cover of T, the New York Times style magazine, where I was an editor. Normally I'd try for 7, but Mrs. Obama was, I'd assumed, a busy lady. Little did I know at the time how true that was. So I suggested we cap the photo shoot at 5 hours. We can give you 20 minutes. I responded with the haggling skills of a seasoned negotiator. Okay, sounds perfect. Thank you so much. I went to Washington the night before the shoot with the photographer Collier Shore and the magazine's creative director Patrick Lee. I packed only a cashmere sweater and chinos, both new, both black, because the occasion seemed to demand reverence. That morning, we arrived early at the south lawn of the White House with instructions to, enter a gate next to a set of pillars and an American flag. If you should find yourself in this position, ask more questions. Each time we approached a uniformed guard with the rather preposterous assertion that we were here to see Michelle, we were directed toward a line of fanny-packed Germans waiting for their tour. Eventually, we made our way to the right gate, through a metal detector, and onto the south lawn. The shoot was scheduled to happen in the diplomatic reception room, one of 3 oval rooms in the building. It had 4 doors flanked by steely-eyed men with broad shoulders. Days later, I would continue to worry that they were coming after me for the stack of paper hand towels I'd taken from the restroom. A carpet in shades of blue and soft gold covered the floor, and the walls were papered with sweeping landscapes that had been hand-picked by Jacqueline Kennedy. When the middle of the room was cleared of furniture and the photographer's lights were mounted, the 3 of us were advised to stand on, and stay on, small bits of black tape placed on the floor across from the fireplace. I was sweaty, and not in a glowing way. And then Mrs. Obama showed up. I finally understood what it must have been like for all those stark raving mad teenage girls when the Beatles first landed in America. I wanted to hug her, I wanted to thank her, I wanted to shake her so that she understood the magnitude of her stronghold on America's collective heart. I also wanted a toilet because I was convinced I was going to puke. And yet, everything else disappeared the moment she introduced herself to us and thanked us for coming. There was nothing scripted about the exchange, nothing to suggest pageantry. This was one of Mrs. Obama's last cover shoots as the First Lady of the United States of America, and you could tell just by looking at her. Gone was the stately hairstyle, replaced instead by straightened locks that pooled on her shoulders. Instead of a power suit, she wore a sheer silk top with silver statement earrings. I'd never seen the First Lady look like this. I'd never seen any First Lady look like this. When she asked us to play Beyoncé on the stereo and started dancing, her lips pursed to formation, when we all began quietly dancing, I knew I was in the presence of greatness. Not only was Mrs. Obama within reach, physically, but she also felt within reach on a symbolic level. It's a thread woven through this book, the sense that we aren't just in awe of Mrs. Obama, but that we see the best parts of ourselves in her. She famously told the world that when they go low, we go high. and in
Sample complete. Ready to continue?